Today I'd like to share with you how I designed and how I make my scallop spines for my traveller's notebook covers. So this is a canvas in Cricut Design Space showing the final spines which I've used. So this one here is for a pocket wide traveller's notebook cover, an A6, a B6, and this one is for an A5 or a standard wide traveller's notebook cover. I'm just going to hide these from view and show you how I designed them. This is a template for a standard wide cover or an A5 cover. So the score lines that I have here are 1.5 inches apart. That's about the size that I generally put inside my traveller's notebooks. This is to visually see the width of the traveller's notebook spine in order to determine how much scallop would show on the front and the back of the cover. So these are the holes for the elastics on the spine. So let's get into designing the spine. First thing to do is to go over to shapes on the left hand side and select a circle to insert a circle into the canvas. I'm just going to go to the right hand side and just change the colour of that circle just so you can hopefully see the process a little more easily. So now if we click on the circle, we want to go up to size on the top and enter 1.5 for a 1.5 inch circle. If we take that over to here, you can see this is the size that I've designed the spine for my A5 and my standard wide traveller's notebook covers. And the way I did it, I designed the spine for the A5 and I then just resized that for the smaller covers. So I will also show you that process later. But now if we just take this circle over here, we want to duplicate it so that we have 6 circles. Go up to the top to align and align them to the left. So that now what we need to do is stack the circles one on top of each other until they're 8.75 inches high. I found the easiest way to do this was to use this positioning up the top here. So if we start with an X of 1 and a Y of 1, we want our bottom circle to be at 9.75. So we want it to have an X of 1 and a Y of 8.25, and that will place it in the right place. So then what you can do is select all of your circles, go up to align, and we can distribute them vertically, and that places them one on top of each other. You can see they're very higgledy-piggledy. So what we need to do is go up to align and align them to the left. Now we have a lovely line of 6 circles that are 8.75 inches high and 1.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to group them together. This is a right mouse click when I bring up this menu. So we'll group those together. Now we want to go back to shapes and insert a square. So here's the square. We'll just go over to the right hand side and change that to the grey colour so we can see it more easily. So with the square, you want to go up to size on the top and click on the padlock to unlock proportions. We want to have a width of 2.5 inches and a height of 8.75 inches. So what we've created here is this middle central part of the spine. So we'll go and place this over here with our circles. Then select all of the shapes and just align them to the top. So what we need now is some circles on the other side. So if we duplicate this group of circles, we can place them over onto this side. And select everything to align it to the top so it's all nicely lined up. So with the spine that I have made over here, it's a height of 8.75 inches and a width of 4 inches. This one that we've quickly made here, the width is 4.097 inches. So we just want to move the circles a little bit until we get to 4 inches. There it is there, but we need to align it to the top. So we've got all of our shapes aligned, and we have the height of 8.75 inches and the width of 4 inches. So we'll just group all of this together and move it over here. Actually use the Cricut to cut the shapes. You need to weld these together. What I like to do is copy this, copy or duplicate. It's the same thing. I like to copy things before I weld them, as once you've welded a shape together, you can't unweld it again. So we'll just hide this one from view and use this one. So this is our spine, and if we right click on that, we can select weld. And there we have the spine shape. What I'd like to do now is just show you how to make the spines for different height traveller's notebook covers or books or journals. So if we duplicate the one that we've made, I'll make this one now the size to fit my B6 traveller's notebook cover. So my B6 cover is a height of 7.9 inches. So if we just go up to size on the top and enter 7.9, you can see it's changed the width to 3.611 inches. I cut this out of paper and tried it on my B6 cover, and I decided I wanted to cover a little bit wider. So if you go up to size and click on the padlock to unlock the proportions, you can change the width to 4 inches. It makes the spine just a little bit wider. So now if we duplicate this again and bring it over here, for my A6 traveller's notebook cover, it's a height of 6.5 inches. So in size, put 6.5, unlock proportions, and I actually liked a width of 3.5 inches on that. I made it quite a lot wider. And we'll just duplicate the standard size one more time and make a spine for a pocket wide. So my pocket wide cover was a height of 6 inches, and I made it a width of 3 inches. So you can make them whatever size you like. Some people like the spine to just be on the spine, some like it wrapped around a little bit, some like it wrapped around to the front and the back a lot. So really you can tailor it to your own needs. For those of you with Cricut Design Space, I'm going to share the Scallop spine project which we've just created. So this is what the cover photo will look like, and that's the canvas that we've just created in this tutorial. If you have a traveller's notebook cover of a different size, such as a personal, you can just make it using the same technique we've just made here. A good thing to do before cutting is to save the project. If you haven't given the project a name yet, this is the time to give it a name and save it. The next step after designing the spines is to cut them out of paper to check that they're actually the size that you would like to have. So we'll do that now. For the purposes of this video, I'm only going to cut the B6. So I'm just going to hide all the other ones from view. And this is the spine for the B6. And I'm just going to go up to the top right and click on Make It. And that will put it onto the mat here to make. I'm going to cut it just out of regular sized paper, and I'll just press the continue button. I'll start by loading my mat. And now we'll make sure it's set on paper and then press the Cricut Go button. And unload the mat. And there is the template for my B6 cover. So we'll just peel that off. So this is a B6 cover, which I've just made from some Planner Society paper with 2 layers of decoupage on it, and I've heat fused it to a red suede leather. So I'll just try the spine template on this to see how I like it. So this one here is just a template of the actual Traveller's Notebook itself, just to see where the centre line is, just to approximately line that up and see what that will look like with the spine on it. So it'll look like that. So I'm quite happy with the size of that spine. So now I need to cut it out of suede. Here I have a piece of suede to cut the scallop spine from. I'm going to use the Cricut to cut the spine, but what I'm going to do first is just cut the suede down a little bit to put on my Cricut mat. The side that I want, I'm just going to put down on the ironing board, and I'm going to attach a 2-sided heat fusible interfacing onto the back here. So here's some that I have here. And I'm just going to place this on the back here. Okay, this one's sticky on both sides, so I'm just going to put one sticky side down. And then I'm just trying to lift the paper off the corner here. It's a bit messy there, but I'll try not to cut on that bit. Okay, so 2-sided heat fusibles come in different ways. Some of them are a little bit sticky just with a little bit of pressure, and so they're paper backed on both sides. Some are sticky on one side, and some, like Heat and Bond, aren't sticky at all until you heat fuse it. This one's a little bit sticky on both sides. I have that funny corner bit here, which I need to make sure I put above where it's going to cut, just so that I don't get any of that funny corner actually cutting for the spine. So we'll place that on the Cricut mat, and then this should cut here. So we'll take this over to the Cricut machine. Here is my Cricut Explore Air 2, and what I need to do, because I'm cutting leather, is I need to move these little star-shaped wheels off the fabric that will cut. These are designed to help grip things, but when you're using things like leather, you need to move them out of the way, or they can actually cause the fabric to sort of, they grasp at the fabric and they're not very good. So we want to move these two out of the way, so we just push them like that out of the way, and then just check that we don't have any of the star wheels above the fabric. So you can see that all the way over here. Go up to make it, and there's the mat, and we press continue, and we can see now we choose the material that we want to cut. So we're choosing the material because the dial on my Cricut Explore is set to custom, so we get to choose the material in Cricut Design Space. So we'll go down to leather, and it's quite a light leather that I'm using, so I will select light leather. Here you can see it reminds you to please move the star wheels to the right side of the machine, and with the pressure I'm going to select more because I have quite a blunt blade in my machine at the moment, so a little more pressure will help cut through the leather. Here we can see it says to load the fine point blade, which is just the standard blade in the machine. And we'll just place the mat there and load the mat. and then hit the flashing Cricut button, and that will start cutting. Okay, so now unload the mat, and we can see here that it's cut the spine out of the fabric there. Ooh, it hasn't quite cut. It hasn't quite cut through just this tiny bit here, so I'm just going to get some scissors and cut that. As you can see, that was just a tiny bit there that it hadn't cut. So now I can peel this off the mat and we'll carry on the process on the ironing board. I need to peel this off here. There we go. So we have our suede on one side and we have our adhesive on the other side. So now what I want to do is place this on the book cover and adhere it. So my traveller's notebook cover is 10.5 inches wide and my spine is 3.5 inches wide. So I know that I need to have 3.5 inches either side of the spine to put it in the centre of the cover. So I've got a ruler here along the 3.5 inch mark, and that's to run the side of my spine up. So if I place the bottom of the spine along the bottom here, and then run the left side of the spine up the ruler and put the top along there. Because the two-sided fusible is pressure sensitive, then it actually sticks a little bit onto there. So we can see it's stuck on there. So we can check that we've got 3.5 inches on this side, and we've got 3.5 inches on this side. So we are in fact in the centre of the traveller's notebook cover. The next step is to heat fuse the spine onto the cover. We'll just put a bit of baking paper on top of the spine, and then I've got an iron on a dry heat, a medium dry heat. I'm just going to place the iron onto the spine. Because it's leather, you don't want to use too hot an iron. There we go. You can see that we've adhered the spine there onto the cover. So the cover now will be like this. So what we need to do now is make the holes and put our elastics through it, and then we have the traveller's notebook cover with a scallop spine.